Severance and the Stanley Parable, a captivating TV show and a self-aware video game. At first glance, they might seem like very different things, but today we're going to show you just how much they have in common. Before we dive in, don't worry, there are no major spoilers in this video. We will only be discussing the early moments and the overall themes.
Whether we like it or not, work plays a central role in our lives. We spend the majority of our week working, and even when we're off the clock, it's hard to stop thinking about work. This is a lifestyle that many people live, making us question if this really is what we want. While both Severance and the Stanley Parable were created to comment on this very kind of life, they both raise questions like, do we have free will at work? What is the purpose of what we do every day? And who are we when we clock in?
First, a quick refresher, or an introduction, in case you're new to either of these. The Stanley Parable is a video game where you play as Stanley, a quiet office worker whose only job is to press buttons on the keyboard based on instructions. One day, the instructions stop coming, and the game invites you to explore the office. But no matter what choices you make, there's always a voice, the narrator, commenting on every one of your decisions. In short, the Stanley Parable is a game about decisions, disobedience, and the illusion of choice. Meanwhile, Severance is a TV show where workers at a corporation called Lumen have to go through a surgical procedure that splits their consciousness in two. One version of them lives only at work, that's the innie. The other lives only outside of the office, and that's the outie. The innie knows nothing about the outside world, and the outie knows nothing about what happens in the office. In short, Severance is a dystopian office drama about identity, control, and isolation.
Now that we're all on the same page, let's explore the common themes between both works. Both Stanley and the employees at Lumon in Severance find themselves in systems that pretend to offer freedom, but we, as the viewers, can clearly see that it's all just an illusion. In the Stanley Parable, even if Stanley tries to rebel, the game anticipates it. For instance, if Stanley disobeys the narrator's instructions to go through the left door, the narrator adapts the story and eventually resets the game. This dynamic illustrates the theme that free will is just an illusion under an all-controlling system. In fact, the official webpage where you can buy the game states that the Stanley Parable is a game that plays you. Similarly in Severance, when Helly's innie discovers the quote-unquote horrible working conditions at Lumon, she tries to resign and to escape the office multiple times. But she eventually feels powerless when she realizes that all her attempts of escape are immediately overridden by her outie's decision to stay at work.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me.
When every path is designed in advance, when every rebellion is accounted for, can we really call any of it freedom?
When your entire existence is defined by what you do at work, who are you really? In Severance, the innies don't get weekends, sleep, or lives. They're born at 9 a.m. and cease to exist at 5 p.m. every single day. They don't remember who they are outside the building, and worse, they're told it doesn't matter. Stanley isn't much better off. He has no face, no voice, no past. And even when he looks down, he doesn't see his own body. He exists only to do what he is told, and when he questions that role, the game either mocks him or deletes him. What both Severance and the Stanley Parable highlight is that in many workplaces, especially corporate ones, identity isn't yours. It is assigned to you. You're just a number among many others. And everything your hard work will result in will benefit the company. not you.
Each bore the
Music in both Severance and the Stanley Parable is another important topic. In both works, it was designed to make you feel something, even if you don't notice it right away. Take a listen. Here's a piece from Severance. And here is one of the main songs from the Stanley Parable called Exploring Stanley. They're not the same, but as you probably noticed, they share a certain mood. Cold, eerie, slightly off. It's music that makes you feel like there's something clearly wrong, like you're not supposed to be there, as though hinting to the fact that an office is not a good place to be in.
As Charles Cornell, a popular YouTube musician, points out in his breakdown of Severance's main theme, the music in Severance plays with tension, switching between harmony and dissonance. This back and forth can symbolize many themes closely related to the show, such as being trapped in a loop, the clash between control and rebellion, or how Lumen workers have split identities that are always out of sync. On the other side, the song Exploring Stanley hints to similar themes. For example, the constant presence of the violin note in the background is like an indication of the constant presence of a higher being, always watching you. In both Severance and the Stanley Parable, music is a subtle reminder that beneath the apparent sense of routine and order, something is deeply and fundamentally wrong.
So, what do Severance and the Stanley Parable really have in common?
They both show us the things we often neglect in the modern workspace, and what we might be sacrificing when we spend most of our lives in it.
They ask questions that are funny at first, but the more you think about them, the more uncomfortable they become.
What if the routine we live in every day, the one that seems normal, safe, and structured, is actually keeping us from becoming who we really are?
What if our choices aren't really ours and we've just learned to stop asking?
And what if the office, with its weird rules, artificial rewards, and invisible boundaries, is more of a prison than we thought?
Severance and the Stanley Parable don't give us answers.
But they give us something better. They encourage us to question the systems we live in every day. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a comment letting us know which moment from either work struck with you the most. And if you haven't seen Severance or played Stanley Parable, we highly recommend both, especially if you're happy with the status quo.